With the endless amount of WWE angles over the years, some have succeeded, some have failed, and others have just been downright confusing. Here are 10 storylines that still have us scratching our heads. A McMahon in every corner. WrestleMania 2000 was such a huge event that it actually ended up being too big. On top of every match being a tag team event or larger, the finale saw 4 competitors each backed by a member of the McMahon family. If the WWE somehow orchestrated separate plot lines that all perfectly converged at WrestleMania, this match probably would have been a resounding success. However, it wasn't that clear-cut. Storylines were crossed, Linda McMahon brought Mick Foley out of his brief retirement, Vince inexplicably made a heel turn, and a victorious Rock put the whole family in its place. The match may have appeared to work on the surface, but underneath, it was just a confusing mess. The Love Rectangle. After splitting from Lana on a May 2015 episode of Raw, Rusev soon attempted to reconcile their relationship, but was rebuffed when Lana kissed Dolph Ziggler. In response, Rusev teamed with Summer Rae, who later proposed to Rusev, stipulating that she would only marry him if he won another championship. She also seduced Ziggler in order to end his relationship with Lana. Although he was an uber heel at the time, Rusev unintentionally garnered the most fan sympathy from this situation, as he basically ended up being seen as a heartbroken boyfriend. However, the storyline became further complicated when it was revealed that Lana and Rusev had actually in real life became engaged to each other. And despite an attempt to save the storyline by tying in this true event, it fizzled out due to its ever-increasing complexity and the fact that the whole thing essentially backfired. Sin Cara vs. Sin Cara. In 2011, Mexican wrestling star Luis Uribe, formerly known as Mystico, joined the WWE roster under the name Sin Cara. Despite a huge media push, Uribe fell flat and quickly earned a 30-day suspension for violating WWE's wellness program. Jorge Arias played a so-called imposter Sin Cara in the meantime, which culminated in bouts pinning the original against the phony. And fans honestly couldn't tell the difference between the two. Uribe's version eventually triumphed, but he left to return to Mexican wrestling in 2014, where he continued to use the Sin Cara name. Adding the final confusion cherry on top, Arias has since resurrected the Sin Cara character in the WWE. Jobber Bella. After losing at Hell in a Cell 2014, Brie Bella had to serve as a personal assistant to her sister Nikki for 30 days, which included helping Nikki defeat AJ Lee to win the Divas Championship at Survivor Series. However, when the 30 days were up, the sisters were inexplicably friends again. Yeah, and as Brie and Nikki later revealed, this was a shock to them too, and there was really no explanation for it. The WWE simply decided to move on, but as Nikki aptly pointed out, "I told her I wish she died in the womb. We can't forget that." God got beat. After Vince McMahon lost to Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 22, the boss deemed it an act of God. In response, Vince set up a tag team event for Backlash that pitted himself and Shane McMahon against Michaels and God. Because, wait, what? That's right, HBK's teammate was God, represented at the match by only harp music and an empty spotlight. As a clearly confused and possibly offended crowd looked on, Vince taunted God and encouraged him to get jiggy with it, while also instructing a perplexed referee to search him for weapons. Thanks to some help from the Spirit Squad and the fact that Michaels' partner was just a beam of light that played no part in the actual match, the McMahons won. Then again, the real winners were probably the fans, who would never again have to deal with this confusing storyline. Kick the baby. Despite the protection of boyfriend Matt Hardy, Lita was kidnapped and impregnated in 2004 by Kane, who wed the diva after besting Hardy in SummerSlam's Till Death Do Us Part match. However, Lita later miscarried courtesy of newbie Gene Snitsky, causing Kane to turn heel. This led to Lita preposterously teaming up with her supposed rapist to avenge the baby she didn't even want, and to defeat Snitsky, who constantly insisted, "It's not my fault." The storyline essentially culminated with Snitsky pleading his case in the ring while holding a wrapped-up baby, which he then proceeded to kick, because that's exactly what an innocent person would do, right? Kane's identity crisis. In 2006, Kane feuded with an imposter version of himself, who beat the real Kane on numerous occasions using Kane's own moves. The imposter wore his old mask and costume and looked nothing like the current character. Yet, for some confusing and annoying reason, everybody in the WWE acted like they couldn't tell the two apart. The angle finally reached its conclusion when real Kane beat fake Kane and unmasked him. So, who was the imposter? We have no idea. Kane threw the guy out without ever showing his face, saying who he was, or explaining his presence. And the storyline simply ended. Give her a hand. You gotta hand it to Mae Young. In addition to being one of the most important female pioneers in wrestling, she was also a great sport. The most famous example of this was her kayfabe relationship with WWE's Mark Henry. Not only was the 76-year-old shown to be dating sexual chocolate, but she gave birth to his child in a February 2000 episode of Raw. Sort of. In a twist that has still yet to be explained, not only was the child clearly of a much lighter complexion than Henry, but it was also a hand. Just a hand. This storyline was so famously nonsensical that the WWE revisited it in their 1000th episode of Raw by showing an all-grown-up version of the child, which was simply a dude in a giant hand costume. All sense barred. In 1989, Hulk Hogan starred as wrestler Rip Thomas in the movie No Holds Barred, alongside actor Tom Lister Jr. playing the character of Zeus. The duo's feud was then carried over to the WWE, with the angle that Lister was upset over Hogan's top billing in the film, and the fact that Hogan beat him. The only problem was that Lister was still portraying his movie character, while Hogan was playing his WWE character. So instead of the two film characters facing each other, we had a film character facing a wrestling character. Because, yeah, that totally makes sense. Higher power outage. In the late 90s, The Undertaker formed the Ministry of Darkness, a stable that feuded with the likes of Stone Cold and Vince McMahon under the leadership of a mysterious higher power, generally assumed to be the devil himself. But after Taker kidnapped Stephanie McMahon, Austin and Vince forged a reluctant alliance in order to save her. At the time, the boss needed an ally, as Shane McMahon had recently kicked him out of the corporation before teaming with the Ministry of Darkness to form the corporate ministry. As confusing as that all was, this is where things really got weird, as it was revealed that Vince had been the higher power all along. He explained it was all an elaborate ruse to oust Austin from power, even though it came at the expense of all the McMahons, including Vince himself. The ministry soon folded after Austin escaped the whole fiasco basically unscathed, and everyone realized that the whole thing didn't make any sense. And this is the end of our confusing storyline list. You may now resume making sense, and please let us know what you thought in the comments below. Also, be sure to like and share this video and subscribe to the Sportsters YouTube channel. See ya!